WrestleMania weekend, WWE announced that they would be acquiring the Lucha Libre promotion AAA out of Mexico. Now, if you watched my video about TNA, you know how I feel about these bigger companies acquiring some of these smaller promotions. Now, AAA is not a small promotion by any means. They're probably one of Mexico's biggest outside of CMLL, but my idea of it still being bad for business still stands. Now, I'm very interested to see how this moves forward. There was rumors of it becoming NXT Mexico after a little while, but those have somewhat been squashed. And we'll get to those rumors and a lot more rumors here in a minute, as well as talk about some of the releases that happened because these events somewhat coincide with each other. I don't think they're necessarily directly connected, but they do coincide with each other at a very odd time. Now, AAA is a fairly young promotion starting in 1992 by Antonio Pena and his family. So it's very young, but apparently business was not booming. Business was struggling, and they made the decision to sell to the WWE. Now, a lot of very, very famous lucha names have gone through AAA, as well as some very popular wrestling names in general. If we go back not even 4 or 5 years ago, Kenny Omega was their champion. And some of the names from the lucha world that we can think of: the Lucha Brothers, Rey Mysterio, La Parca. You're naming some of the world's top luchadors in that sense. WWE also says that the Pena family will still be involved with AAA. So it's not a full takeover. It seems like they just are buying the company so it can stay afloat. I made this comparison in the TNA video. I'm going to make it again. It feels a little bit like sort of a Smosh situation. If you missed that video or don't know anything about Smosh, they were a very popular YouTube channel for a long time and business died. They ended up being bought out by Rhett and Link, which is a very popular YouTube channel, and being taken under their umbrella, they were able to be successful and be bought back by the original owners, and is now under the original owner's leadership. I have a feeling that could happen with this. I would much prefer that happen with this than AAA stay under WWE's umbrella forever. I think it's just better for business if there's multiple places to go, if that makes sense. If there's multiple big names in different countries to go to, it makes more sense for business. It makes it easier for wrestlers to find their niche and stand out and maybe get bigger contracts. Not that these other companies are stepping stones, but it does allow for the highlighting of somebody who maybe not get highlighted on, WWE TV. They go down to AAA, they get that time and the ability to win some people over and really show what they have. I do believe that AAA will be staying as AAA. Right now, they have a very strong partnership with TNA, as well as the WWE has a very strong partnership with TNA, and I believe that's what's brought on this merger. Now, nothing is set in stone yet. They will be finalizing this deal if both parties come to 100% agreement in the third quarter of 2025, which is about after summer, somewhere around after summer, before winter. There's no official date for this, so it's just in quarter 3 this is supposed to happen. Now, one of the big things that I wanted to talk about with the AAA acquisition is the contracts. Now, a lot of people are very upset about some of the contract buyouts, and I want to say this before we get into specifics. This is just how the general business practice of a buyout goes. Once everything is set in stone, the other company can now make decisions. WWE does not have full control over AAA yet. So AAA has some wrestlers on their roster that have a very troubled past, and one in particular who has a restraining order against him by a current WWE wrestler and NXT Women's Champion in Stephanie Vakir. So there's some very serious things to look at here with these contracts, but the outrage is a little early. We're a little early on these, as well as Alberto Del Rio, as he's known now, Alberto El Patron, who has multiple abuse cases. Not a good look. Not a good look. I do understand the business of it. They can't just not sign his contract because they have acquired everything. He is their champion at the moment. He is part of everything. Now, moving forward, we'll have to see what happens. I know he and WWE weren't weren't on the best of terms when he left, and there's a reason why he has not been asked back. So we'll have to see what happens. There's also some issues with Conan as lead booker. There's been a lot of complaints about that, so we may not be seeing Conan down there as booker much longer. But the big thing was the contracts. That was a big problem for a lot of people, and I wanted to make that clear that this is an average business transaction. The exact same thing happened when they bought WCW. The exact same thing happened when they bought ECW. They ended up with the contracts. They ended up with the entire roster. And once the acquisition was pen paper signed, everything is done. They made their cuts and made their decisions then. And the exact same thing is going to happen with AAA. I don't think they'll make a ton of cuts with AAA, but they may cut out some of the problematic people. AAA only has about 23 wrestlers with a handful of people that come in and out. And so I assume they're going to resume just about everybody's contract. It's not like when they bought WCW and they were buying out like 60 to 70 people. It's a very small promotion, very big promotion, very small in roster size. They rely a lot on people coming in and making those matches and their partnership with TNA. Now, as far as events, AAA has a lot coming up very soon, especially with an event next weekend where Hidejo Del Vikingo will take on Alberto Del Rio for the championship. So there is potential to see Alberto Del Rio drop the belt, maybe be making his exit, but that's just conjecture, it's speculation. Don't take my word for that. That's just my idea. WWE also announced during that weekend that we will be getting a Worlds Collide with AAA and NXT. They haven't announced any matches yet, but I'm very excited for what they cook up with that. It'll sort of be the first introduction to the WWE and AAA acquisition, so we'll have to see what they kind of cook up, what they think of. And then after that, the following week, AAA puts on Triple Mania with some TNA wrestlers making their appearance on there, and it's rumored that some WWE stars will also make their appearance. So big things coming for AAA. I'm very excited for the future for AAA. Not happy about the way that this has happened, but I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it. I think this could be a very interesting thing for the year of 2025 and further down the line. And I mentioned the WWE releases that happened mere weeks after the announcement of the acquisition of AAA, and those also came at a lot of speculation because, well, they happened right after the acquisition of AAA. Now, I think this crop of releases was good. I'm a little frustrated with the way it went down, but I think the people that were released will be better off this time 100% as opposed to the last time that I made a video about the releases. You know, we've already seen Cora Jade, aka Elena Black, be booked, and Gigi Dolan, now going by Priscilla Kelly, has also already received a handful of bookings, including facing her partner in Zachary Wentz. So I am looking forward to that. I think that'll be an incredibly fun match. But back to what I was saying, I think this crop of releases was a lot of former indie talents. I think we'll have a lot of wrestlers go back to the independents and make even better names for themselves. I think this would be a very good thing. There's only 2 wrestlers that got released that came straight out of the WWE developmental. So we'll have to see, but I'm very optimistic for this group. That's why I didn't make a full video on it. I think it'll be quite easy for a lot of them to land somewhere soon. The only one I'm a little worried about is Jakara Jackson, as she is one of the 2 that was released that came up through WWE developmental. She hasn't quite made a name for herself outside of WWE yet, but I think she has all the tools and ability to become a star. Anybody who picks her up will have an incredible future star on their roster that they have the ability to sort of mold a little bit more and maybe make her just an absolute demon. We'll see. I've always thought of her as sort of not the next Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné, but in that same sort of caliber where she very early on in her career showing signs of being at that level. So we'll see what happens with her future. I'm very excited for her future. I think she could land on Stardom, Marigold, any of these Joshi programs and be a killer. The most disappointing thing for me was the breakup of Chemical X. I was really high on Chemical X. I really thought that was going to last for at least another 6 months before they had an inevitable break, but I was very excited for them. And now 2 out of the 3 members are gone, with Tatum Paxley being the only one left. Shotzi announced that she would not be renewing her contract with WWE, so she will effectively be leaving when her contract expires. So that's Chemical X now. I was very excited. I thought they had a chance to really develop a good bond and had a very strong tag team, and as well as a strong tag team could have helped bolster the tag team roster for the women's division, which is dead. It is almost non-existent. Liv Morgan is, I believe, in Japan filming a movie, so the tag team titles will not be defended on TV for foreseeable future. No idea when she's coming back. The women's tag division is literally dead. They got rid of one of the only actual tag teams they had in these releases. So I'm very unsure of how this is going to go. And they did it all during a Smackdown episode, which was also quite crazy. Didn't wait till the show was over, just did it mid-show. So not a good look for WWE after a handful of not good looks during the week. But I'm very optimistic about the AAA acquisition as well as those releases. I think we will be seeing in 90 days those names pop up a lot of places. So be on the lookout. It's going to be a good thing for a lot of people. And with those releases, we also will probably be gaining some new members of the WWE roster. With Jeff Cobb just debuting not too long ago, we should be seeing a handful of more debuts, if you were to ask me. But again, speculation. I have no idea. I don't have insider knowledge. I'm just a guy on YouTube. But that'll be it for this video. Thank you for your patience. It has taken a little bit to get this out because of some technical difficulties on my end and Matt's end. So shout out Matt. He is killing it. Big shout out to him. But we should be back on schedule coming soon. I have a very fun video that might come out later on this week if I can get it done, but we will see. It's, I think, just a very fun video of something that I did not too long ago that I think would make a good video, but we'll have to see how it goes. Obviously, I got to work on a couple of things. I still have a full-time job plus a lot of other stuff going on. So with that, I will bid you adieu and see you in the next one.